I'm a major, retired. I've served 20 years in the service. I was enlisted for 6.5 years. So I had a diverse career, both enlisted and officer. And I was fortunate in being able to get into the paratroopers at 17.5. I was a paratrooper. I enlisted at 17, 2 days plus.
April 14, 1972, the Battle of Fire Support Base Charlie. Lone American on the base, serving as a senior advisor to the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, was Major John Duffy. He called him Dusty Cyanide. That was his call name.
They were dedicated, they were hard fighting. They were all volunteers. They believed in their mission. They believed they were fighting for the freedom of their country. And these were the elite. So these were not what you would call a local force, even if it's a division. So you had the best of the best in Vietnam.
In those days, leading up to April 14th, the battalion command post had been destroyed. Major Duffy had already been twice wounded, refusing evacuation. Efforts to resupply the base had failed, and FSB Charlie was surrounded by the battalion-sized element. For hours, American gunships guided by Dusty Cyanide took airstrikes on enemy positions. Major Duffy repeatedly exposed himself to danger in order to direct the gunship's fire and keep the battalion from being overrun. He even called in one strike, extreme danger close, to his own position in order to drive back an advancing attack. And when he was wounded again, he again refused evacuation. He worked side by side to organize the defense of the base with the Vietnamese commander.
They would have got through us. There was nothing, there was no combat troops behind us in Kontum and Pleiku, the two central highland cities. Their plan was to march through those cities rapidly. They were bringing up tanks, and they had tanks in the battle, and then to go down and link up with the NVA troops that had already captured the coast. So that was down Route 100, I think, where the French got wiped out back in the Indochina War. And that link-off would have cut the country in two.
When they finally had to abandon the base, Major Duffy volunteered to lead the rear squad and cover their retreat. And when the withdrawing soldiers were ambushed early on April 15th and many of the injured troops scattered, Major Duffy remained with those who were wounded, rallying them to make it to an established evacuation zone despite being constantly pursued by the Viet Cong. Upon reaching the exfiltration site, Major Duffy again made sure he was the last aboard the helicopter. And finally, the airship was ready to depart. One of his Vietnamese allies was shot in the foot, causing him to fall backwards out of the helicopter. And Major Duffy caught him and dragged him back in on board with him, saving one more life along the way.
Major Duffy's extraordinary heroism and selflessness above and beyond the call of duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, President of the United States.
And so valor to me is you have a duty, you volunteered. I was always in airborne and special ops. And if you're a volunteer, you're honor committed to doing your duty. And if you're honor committed, then you're going to fight and do whatever's necessary. And so for me, it was going to work, going up on Charlie. It was another day on the battlefield, doing what I was trained to do.
Thank you for watching this video. For more content from the U.S. Army, check out our other video and subscribe to our channel.